Okay, there's so many stories coming in from all over. We are going to open up the phone lines once again tonight because this is a reach out campaign. We are reaching out to you. You can reach out to us and together we can be a voice that is loud enough to end VVIP racism. Many people to tell their stories tonight, and I'd like to welcome Chitra Subramaniam, well-known investigative journalist. She's joining us from Geneva. She has her own story to tell of how she has suffered because of VVIP racism. Chitra, thank you for joining us from Geneva. Amrita Mohan Aggarwal is a victim of the VVIP culture. She told that poignant story about how her 8-year-old son was, he was just not allowed into a buggy while politicians walked past, and she was crying and she was in tears, she was screaming, but the airport authorities would not let her son on the buggy because they had politicians to take care of. She's a victim of that culture. She's speaking up tonight, and I want more people to come and speak up because Kirit Somaya of the BJP, Rahul Narvekar of the NCP, Syed Asim Wakar of the SP, Raghav Chadda of the Aam Aadmi Party, Ajay Bose is with us in the studio, senior journalist, and I think the reason we need to speak up is because simply put, it's a cliche, is enough is enough, and somewhere I get a feeling that this entire campaign is reaching some kind of a tipping point. I'd like to begin with Ajoy before I get Amrita to talk about her story. I get a feeling that there are people who really are pent up about this, who have been experiencing it, of people who felt the injustice so hard and who might have been in the situation that Amrita has been, who've been left crying with their parents, their children, their wives, being made to feel like they are unequal citizens in their own country. They are participating in our movement. What do you think, Ajoy?
Absolutely. I think this pent-up anger, resentment, this feeling that as a citizen of India, you are somehow much smaller, that you have no rights, that you can be pushed aside. This has been growing over the years. As journalists, we've been complaining about it, writing about it, but nothing seems to be happening. It's supposed to be getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And Arnab, really, your blood starts boiling because it's now reached a state where everybody, anywhere, seems to have no rights at all in this country. And I think it's time we pushed back. And I think what is happening is the public now no longer is ready to take it anymore.
Yeah. And one of the people there who has been humiliated the most, in fact, when I read Amrita's letter, when it came into our mailbox, when I read it, it would anyone would empathize with it, and you just feel so sorry that this is what is happening to a taxpayer in our country. Now, I'll let Amrita, talk more about her story, about how her 8-year-old child was treated. Amrita, why don't you share your story with our Newshour viewers?
Yeah, Arnab, so it's not only about the golf cart. I mean,
tell me everything which happened, Amrita.
We travel fairly frequently, and Raghav travels with us everywhere we go. It's domestic and international travel.
Yes.
T3 is the hub for all the flights. There is a lane close to the airport which is specially reserved for wheelchair-bound passengers.
Right.
When you hit the airport.
Yes.
And whenever I've tried, my car has approached that lane, the guards from a distance have waved us to the next lane.
Yeah.
So at this point now, the last 2 times, I have gone up to the guards despite they're telling me to go into the other lane. I have stopped there and had a conversation with them as to why it says, there is a label there which says this is for wheelchair able child, and my child has an issue, why can't I go there? This is reserved for VIP. You're not a VIP, you have to go in that lane.
Sure.
We go from there, past the security. You mentioned, as I said, we never get a golf cart. They're always reserved, or they're being charged. Now, at one instance, I just like to say this, Raghav, when he's sitting, you don't get to know that there is an issue with him. It's only when he's walking, he's wobbly, can't walk by himself, so you get to know. Otherwise, he's just a normal child.
Yes.
So when I asked for a golf cart, the guy said, no, it's charging. And then, okay, I must have had a bit of a altercation with him, and I said, said something, cursed him, this, that, and the other, and I just held Raghav's hand and I made him walk. When he saw there was a genuine problem, he actually came to me and he said, I'm sorry. There was one guy in 5 years who's done that, probably. He came and he said sorry because maybe he was, whatever. He feared God somewhere. Otherwise, I've had instances where they've asked me to pull up Raghav's
Tell me about the case when you were made to wait with the politicians going past in the buggy.
They actually check if Raghav actually has a disability just to...
They check?
Yes.
They check.
At one time, they've actually pulled up his trouser to see. And at one time, it's been mentioned that he can walk with your handle. I said, but he can't walk. There's an issue. He can't walk long distances.
So they want you to prove that your child actually is specially able to get that.
I want to ask them, why would I lie about my child having an issue which is as bad? Why would any... I don't understand it, honestly. I mean,
No, so in two cases, you were made to wait out there while the politicians drove past?
Sorry?
You mentioned the case when you wrote to us about when you were made to wait.
This is specifically this. It always happens in reserved. So one fine time, there were two of these waiting. And we walked in, we said, we want to go. They said, no, you can't go because they are reserved for VIPs. I waited for 10 minutes. Of course, we were trying to argue with them. I mean, he could have gone and come back. You know, nothing, and Raghav can't walk. They can see it. They did not move. The worst was, Arnav, when I was walking with Raghav in my arms, and I am fairly aggressive. I was abusing, probably. I was cursing the life out of them. I was in a group of people who were creating a ruckus. Nobody from the authorities came to help me. And this guy, one politician in one whole buggy, rode past me. He was this close, Arnav. He was this close. He did not have the guts to look in our direction.
Yeah, man.
This is inhuman behavior as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's worthy of the lowest species of animals. And I just want some questions answered as to why, how can some people like this even think about the society at large?
But you know, that's what people are like. Renuka Chaudhary says a few days back, talking about the story of her delaying a flight, she says, why did the plane wait? I mean, that's the kind of attitude. Tonight, I'm actually asking another more basic question. What special qualification, if you are a so-called VVIP, which I believe is a species which is self-created, does not exist, it really reveals the fact that you've got a paranoid medieval mindset. And we had somebody on the program yesterday who said, I was not born a VIP, I became a VIP because I became a politician. So I'm asking tonight, what special qualifications, Raghav, does a VIP have that he must be entitled to a golf cart at the airport, right? While this mother stands there screaming and crying so that a specially able child can commute, and these politicians drive past without giving them a second look. What's this culture we've created?
I think after listening to her story, 1 billion people in this country today feel harassed, feel humiliated, feel outraged, and we feel ridiculed by the kind of stuff that we're witnessing now. See, this stems from a mindset that these politicians, these so-called self-proclaimed VVIPs, are royalty, and people like you, me, and Amrita are inferior beings. There is a medieval VIP mindset, a feudal mindset that is destroying the culture, the Indian culture that we live in. Now, the solution to this problem, Mr. Goswami, as I pointed a couple of days back on your show, is threefold. One, we need a vigilant citizen force. Number two, we need an ever-watchful media and a media house like yours, which is running a sustained campaign. And third, we need to use instruments like the RTI, like the CIC, and make sure that these thick-skinned people are named and shamed. Otherwise, there is no end to this. They have become so thick-skinned, their attitude of hubris and arrogance has reached such a level that they will never stop. And they don't know that by doing this, they are destroying the idea of equality that is there in this country. They draw patterns of discrimination, they draw hierarchy, and they draw a feeling, assert a feeling of exclusion. That they are royalty, you and me are inferior. I think it's high time we name and shame each one of them.
So we name and shame. And yesterday I said this, let's let's for example ask Rahul Narvekar, who's from the NCP. You know, Rahul, this is how an average Indian citizen is treated, right? She holds a child in her own arms, and the VVIP drives past in a buggy that has been reserved from. And on the other hand, Mr. Narvekar, your Praful Patel's daughter, when he's civil aviation minister, is given a different plane by Air India, because all the 7 members of the family cannot be accommodated in business class. So Air India gives her an A320 because an Airbus A319 is not good enough to accommodate all members of the Praful Patel family in business class. These are details revealed through RTI. I want to ask you, Mr. Narvekar, what level of shamelessness is this? And do you not feel that somewhere people will just snap, and they're already rejecting so many of you, but they'll snap. They completely snap and reject it. Mr. Narvekar, would you like to explain what's going on?
Yes or no? Before I answer your question with regards to Mr. Praful Patel, let me tell you I'm absolutely in consensus with the emotion and the feelings on the show of all the panelists, I suppose, that there cannot be two sections in this society in our country. There cannot be a political class and an average citizen class.
Don't preach, Mr. Narvekar.
I think to start with, we should stop calling politicians VIPs or VVIPs. I mean, this is what we are doing. We are terming them as VIPs and VVIPs. Politicians have volunteered to serve.
VIPs call themselves VVIPs.
To serve the people.
The people of this country did not call them VIPs. No, who's
Banners,
putting
VIP
who's
lane
calling
and
them
regular
VIPs?
lanes.
Who's putting up these boards outside airports? Who puts up boards outside railway stations?
It's not the
reserved for
average
VIPs?
citizen who does that. It's
Who
the
puts
government
up,
officials. It's the
who,
government.
Who
The
creates the
politicians do it.
category of VIP?
That's
So, Mr.
exactly
Narvekar, I'm
that's
sorry.
exactly
Please
the
don't
point
preach.
I'm coming
Please
to.
don't preach. Please
that
don't
is
preach,
exactly,
Mr. Narvekar. I want to now ask you, how
Mr.
fair is it that Praful
Mr.
Patel's
Goswami,
daughter and
if you
family
decided-
is provided a
if you
different plane?
decided to
Come to
make
the
your-
point.
Make your show
I'm
highly
asking you a question on
sensational
Praful
and
Patel. Can you
listen
not
to anyone
answer?
else or the
Can you not
logic that
answer
they're
the
putting
I'm
across?
giving you an
Then you're free to
example.
do that. You're the anchor
I'm
after
giving you
all.
an example, so I'm giving you an example. I'm giving you an example that in my
let me
country, the
explain.
civil aviation minister's
I'm just
daughter
telling
gets
you-
a different plane.
I'm just giving you-
And a mother stands there with a specially
just-
able son in her hands crying there and there's nobody to help her.
Arnab Goswami,
I'm telling you, Mr.
Arnab
Narvekar, this
Goswami,
is
I am
racism.
just
Why do you
giving
carry out this form of racism? Is it racism or not?
I am just giving you one of the starting solutions to this problem.
I
think we should
first
stop
want to know why
branding and
Praful
recognizing
Patel's family
people,
gets a
public
different plane.
representatives.
I want to know why
I think
Praful
start with-
Patel's family
I will
gets a
answer
different
that.
plane. And I want to know
I
why,
will
on the
answer
other
that
hand,
very-
ordinary passengers are treated like this. They are offloaded for flights being overbooked. The mothers are forced to take their children in their hands even when they cannot walk. Why do the politicians get a plane and the average Aam Aadmi doesn't even get a simple, treatment that a simple buggy? Please answer me, Mr. Don't dodge my question. I'm asking you a question on Praful Patel.
Arnab, you have asked
I know
me the
my name,
question
answer
at
the
least 6
question.
times. Give me an opportunity to answer now. You asked me
Why
the same
did
question
Praful
over
Patel's
6 times.
family get a different plane?
Now.
Why did Praful Patel's family get a different plane? Tell me.
Are you done
Is
with
it
your
the perk of
question?
being a civil
Are you done
aviation
with your
minister?
question?
I am repeating the
Number
question
one,
because you're not answering
insofar-
it. Because
number one,
I am very
number
appalled,
one,
Mr. Narvekar,
insofar-
at the kind of country we have created, where you believe today VIPs don't have legs, that they need golf
No,
carts.
Arnab,
carts,
that's not what I believe.
privatized
That's
and
what you
waiting for
believe.
them.
And that's why you keep saying it.
That's what the
You
people
don't want to
believe.
listen
That's
to what
what the
I'm
truth
saying.
is.
I don't believe that. And that's why I'm saying what I want
You
to
don't
say.
believe it because you're a
I
neta.
think on your show, I think you should make your show
you don't face
example
what the Aam Aadmi faces.
You should stop recognizing public representatives as VIPs. Let's start from the Times Now debate tonight.
What about
Let's start
Praful
from
Patel?
tonight.
Is he a public representative
That's what
or a
I'm
VIP?
suggesting.
What
And
about
now coming
Praful
back to
Patel?
your question.
What about Praful Patel? Is he a public
And now
representative
coming
or a
back to your
VIP?
question with regards to
What
Mr.
is Praful Patel? Is Praful Patel a
let me
VIP?
tell you very clearly.
Is Praful Patel a
these
VIP?
Baseless allegations.
Baseless
These
allegations.
baseless allegations
Really?
have been denied by Mr. Praful Patel as well as the Civil Aviation Ministry. There is absolutely no truth to this. I don't
Really?
think any commercial carrier can change routes in an hour's time. And
Then
I think
why
you
was
need
an
to do a
RTI
little more
query?
homework on these.
Well, I'm
on
really
these
sorry that you don't
irrelevant
know
and
the facts.
baseless allegations which you are making on this show. This has been
Really?
dealt with in detail. This has been
No, it has
denied.
not been
You
dealt
have asked
with.
these
Air
questions
India
in the
was
past.
forced to
Other
reveal
media
that
channels have
Praful
asked this,
Patel's
and they
family
have
was
been
able
fairly
to fly
answered.
business
If
class
you want
after
to- if you want
last-minute
to
changes were
sensationalize
made
your show,
to pull in
you
a
are free
bigger
to do
plane
that,
for the journey.
but
Anyway,
don't
you see,
misguide-
this is the problem.
don't
This is the
misguide
problem.
your viewers.
You know, this is the problem with you, Mr. Narvekar. And this is, your fake anger is what makes people more angry.
The problem with you is, and the
Mr.
problem with
Narvekar,
you,
today I would have
Dr.
expected
Goswami,
a
is
simple
my way on the
apology.
highway on your show.
They don't have the heart to apologize.
All of them are in denial. They will obviously agree with the lofty sentiments. They will all say, yes, there shouldn't be any VVIPs, but our party does not do it. We do not do it. But when we know for a fact, for over these years, this problem has been getting worse and worse and worse, but they're always in denial. They find it very difficult to admit that they are the ones. I mean, Raghav raised the point that who makes them VVIP?
Let them
not
speak.
the public.
Exactly.
Not the public.
Who makes them the VVIP?
Not the public. The public has no interest in making them
And
VVIP.
Mr. Narvekar used a term called public representative.
You need to
Sir, please understand.
You
The
need to
public is the
understand
one which is
that
making
no
you
one
its
is denying that this
representative.
problem
You
exists.
cannot
This
create
problem
walls. You
definitely
cannot
exists.
create
But the time has
inequalities.
come
It's
to
the public that
ensure
you have to
that this
serve.
problem is
You are
resolved.
servants.
And to
You
resolve
are not
this problem,
entitled to
you need to
special
stand
privileges
with
and
for
symbols
your
of
show.
authority.
You know, Raghav,
You have to serve the people. You are public representatives.
There's one thing-
Rather public
They are
servants.
here to represent the people. They are here to serve the people. They are not here to come and demand special
I want to
treatment.
know how you
And
serve the
that is
people.
stand we need
Mr.
to take
Narvekar,
today.
don't go on and on. Mr. Narvekar, you may find, I have a simple question. Don't get worked up, okay? Relax. We are asking you questions because people are asking you questions.
You may want
so
to
what I'm saying, Mr. Narvekar, relax. I'm telling you to, I'm taking you to chill, Mr. Narvekar. My question is very simple. I refuse to believe that it is a coincidence that a bigger plane is called in so that the Patel family can go travel abroad. And I'm really shocked that, there's not even an admission of what happened. I'm just contrasting this. Anyway, a lot of things happen in our country. I now want to invite Chitra Subramaniam, who has her own story to tell. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to open up the phone lines in some time. And I also want all our viewers to note one thing. What are the politicians doing on the program tonight? They begin by saying, we actually agree with what you're saying. We also believe that what's happening is very wrong, etc., etc. But... and then they say the solution is so long-term, we don't believe VIPs, and then they go on to make their big treaties. Is there a tone of genuine apology in Rahul Narvekar tonight? There isn't. Is there a sincere feeling of shame today in any of the politicians who've spoken? Are they seriously embarrassed? Are they seriously embarrassed at what they have done? No. There is still that defiance. We will fight you. So let me tell you, Mr. Narvekar, we will fight you too.
Not with me, Mr. Goswami. Not all.
No, we will fight you too. We will fight all politicians who have corrupted the system so much. You can take this as a declaration of intent, Mr. Narvekar.
I have seen, Mr. Arnab Goswami, I have seen these tricks of yours for too long to fall for them. You know what my stand is, you know what my position is, but you want to make your debate sensational. That's why you want to color a story which I have not put forward.
The problem is, Mr. Narvekar, your problem, Mr. Narvekar. No, 1 second. Mr. Narvekar, just keep quiet for a while. Politicians should keep quiet also sometimes. The question is this. I'll tell you one more story about the NCP. I'll tell you, I know that, Mr. Narvekar, you have recently joined the NCP.
Why don't
I'll talk about solutions. You are sounding like Suresh Kalmadi. You're sounding like Suresh Kalmadi now. When we told Suresh Kalmadi that there has been a CWG scam, you know what Suresh Kalmadi said? Suresh Kalmadi said, let us find systemic solutions for corruption in this country. When we told A. Raja that Mr. A. Raja, you need to answer. You know what Mr. A. Raja said? Let us find systemic solutions for corruption in this country. Right? And when the Prime Minister of India, former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was asked questions, let's find systemic solutions. Solution has to come from society. What absolute tripe. What rubbish. I'll tell you something about your party. A notice was sent to 2 engineers of the PWD department. Now have the heart to listen. A notice was sent to 2 engineers of the Public Works department in Maharashtra in July last year. Do you know why? Because Mr. Narvekar's leader Ajit Pawar was not served ice cream during the meal.
My God.
Rubbish. You have got it all wrong. You have got it all wrong.
Obviously, we must be getting it wrong that we speak the truth. And Amrita wants to say something to you. Amrita wants to say something to you. Amrita is saying something. At least listen to Amrita, if not me.
If you continue, I put you to
here comes the threat. Here comes the threat.
You are making baseless allegations and...
Here comes the threat. Carry on. Bring forward the threat. Come on. People are watching. Here comes the threat.
What threat are you talking about? You are in the habit, Mr. Arnab Goswami, you are in the habit of making baseless allegations. And time has come when someone questions this. You are making baseless... What ice cream are you talking about? Where do you get this fake story from? From some sister concern newspaper of yours.
Why are you getting worked up, Mr. Narvekar? Why are you getting worked up?
What are you talking about? It's time, Mr. Arnab Goswami, it's time that you do responsible journalism. When you say something on channel or national television,
Mr. Narvekar, and you will teach me responsible journalism.
Kindly support what you've said with evidence. Let me tell you,
2 engineers, I'm reading a news report. I'm reading a news report. I'm reading it. Now you want me, I'll tell you one thing. Sorry, but 1 minute, Mr. Narvekar. The ice cream cannot come on the program to give proof that it was not. So if you want me to produce the ice cream and interview the ice cream to ask the ice cream, Mr. Ice Cream, were you served to Mr. Pawar? I can't interview the ice cream. So don't give me that kind of silly
Probably you don't have the fortune of knowing. You probably don't have, Mr. Arnab Goswami,
truth is bitter, swallow it sometimes.
The fortune of knowing this individual well. I do know this individual very well.
Of course, I'm sure,
and let me tell you, the habit of having the habit and privileges of having dessert after a meal are probably restricted to Mr. Arnab Goswami.
This is so
Mr. Ajit Pawar doesn't even indulge in
This
sweets
is so
after
abysmal.
meal. Did you know that? Did you know that?
This is abysmal. But we are challenging you. We are challenging you now. You get that? We are challenging you. And Chitra Subramaniam has a story to share. But before that, Amrita wanted to say something to you while she was listening to you. Amrita has suffered, Mr. Narvekar, and let me tell you, people who suffer realize. And you're threatening people today. You're threatening all the people of this country. You're telling the people of this country, hold back, we'll push back against you. And let me tell you, the more the threats, the more the evidence, the more the threats, the more the stories, the more the threats, the more the public participation in our movement. We've had it with you, Mr. Narvekar, with VVIP racism. Now, Ms. Amrita wants to ask you a question. Amrita.
I just want to say that this is not a one-off situation. I have taken this up, this matter with the authorities since the last 2 years. I have mails to prove that I've written to the manager. I've got a response. We'll look into it. I have traveled repeatedly every 2 months with my son. The situation has not changed. There is no change. And it's not, I mean, we have done everything that we could. We've written, we've created a ruckus. Nobody listens. Things don't change. It's appalling. It's such a small thing. They're just standing there, those guys. You have a large workforce at T3. They're just standing there twiddling their thumbs. It's become an excuse. VIP treatment has become an excuse. There are no wheelchairs at the airport. And when you go inside, the wheelchairs are being used to ferry barricades, movable barricades for VIP treatment. I have a photograph to prove that. Can somebody please deny that? Why? I mean, can somebody explain to me why a wheelchair was being used to ferry, furniture? When my son, who cannot walk, cannot get a wheelchair, what are we talking about?
Incredible.
Absolutely.
Me and my husband are one of the few honest taxpayers in the country. I can very proudly say that. I demand some fairness for my son for a condition for which I am entitled to. I'm not asking for a fancy house. I'm not asking for a fancy AC. I'm not asking for anything. I'm asking for basic human rights, for heaven's sake. We are considering moving out of the country now because the treatment that my son gets there is far better than the way he's treated here.
That will be such a shame, Amrita.
It's become a life
that will be
decision
such a shame, Amrita. I think what we need to do is get together to resolve to end this culture of entitlement. I think we need to fight it together. And I think you need to know, Amrita, that you are not alone. This channel is flooded with examples. Yours was one of them. But this whole country is flooded with examples of people who want to fight. They just need a voice, Amrita.
And on a different note,
I'm just saying that.
Just want to bring it up. My son cannot use a washroom at T3. None of the washrooms. 10 washrooms are closed. I mean, that's another sorted story by itself. But I'm saying,
okay.
And I have pictures.
Reminiscent of
I want to, before I come to Chitra, who wants to, has her own story to tell here and her own views on this matter. I want to get our first caller tonight. The first caller is Swati, and she wants to say something on this live program. Swati Mishra is calling from Patna. Hi, Swati.
Hi, Arnav. Good evening. And I'm so happy that you have picked up this issue in the most better way. I don't have words to express the manner in which you have raised this issue. And let me tell you, I fail to understand why these politicians are so insensitive. They are not at all apologetic. Forget about, asking for apology. They don't have shame at all. And what has happened, I'm listening to what you were saying right now. Really, we have to come together and let them know one thing very clearly. If we have the right to elect them, we also have the right to reject them forever and ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely,
That's
the sentiment. We're going to throw
That's
them
the
out
sentiment. Chitra, I want you to share your own experience tonight. And you wrote to me yesterday, and you are one of India's most celebrated investigative journalists. You're now based abroad. You wrote to me yesterday saying that we need to create a public movement to bring our democracy back. I want to know why you feel so strongly about it, what your own story is, and what you'd like to say. Chitra.
Thanks, Arnab. Thanks for responding to my mail. And also, I live between Bangalore and Geneva, part of which is of public health importance. But my story, I have three things to say. One, that a lot of Indians think that service is servility. So even when you do not wish to have a privilege, they just swarm you with privilege. The second thing is that there is something called, and I really think that our ministers and our people who walk around in these wheelchairs should realize that we are a joke abroad. It's called the IAS, India Assisted Service, where politicians and all their people run around international airports in wheelchairs. Just look out the number of people on wheelchairs around the world. They will most likely be Indians. who then will get off their wheelchair, go and shop in tax-free shops and get back to their wheelchair and to be expected to be wheeled. This is airline conversation. So be aware that you're not, people are looking at you. But my own story is the following, and it was a tragedy of my brother who had been diagnosed with meningitis, and he was being rushed to the hospital, and the ambulance was stuck in Burli, and on the other side was Murli Devra, the late Murli Devra, who was a very dear friend, and Vivek Goenka of the Indian Express. My father was in 3 or 4 cars behind the ambulance, and the ambulance could not move. When they arrived in the hospital, my brother had passed away. He would have been saved had there been a way for the ambulance to make it to the hospital, because he was all within the parameters of being saved. That was 18 years ago. Even today, Arnab, even today when I see an ambulance on the street which is blocked, okay, and the other side is empty for some VIP or some famous person to pass, I stop the cars and I get out and I say, for heaven's sake, let the car pass. And more people understand. People want to help, but they're stuck. They don't know what to do. So I really congratulate you for making this. Let's use media advocacy to change this. And I understand that some people need police protection, some people need a VIP treatment, but not just everybody and their aunt. I don't think so.
Well, Chitra, as I'm hearing you there, and I am, so shocked hearing what happened to your brother. I'm so sorry at hearing that story. But I'm so appalled at the same time that while you tell me the story of your own personal tragedy, Chitra, sitting there in Geneva, nothing has changed in our country. Because I don't know if you're seeing those pictures there, but we are playing right now on our TV screen certain pictures from Kerala. Because I think the tragedy is, Chitra, that in our country, the more things change, the more things stay the same. And these pictures, ladies and gentlemen, are from Kerala. And you will see there, this is caught by our cameras, an ambulance is made to stop and wait. An ambulance is made to stop and wait so that the Kerala Chief Minister's convoy can cruise through. This incident took place in Thiruvananthapuram in November 2014. So my next question goes, since this incident happened in Mumbai, and I would say here today, Chitra, as I listen to you here today, that your brother, suffered because of VVIP racism. But maybe at that point of time, we didn't have the impact, the media to have that kind of impact. I asked Kirit Somaiya tonight, who's a BJP member of parliament, and he's from Mumbai, that today, Mr. Somaiya, exactly what happened to Chitra Subramaniam's brother happened once again, because Union Minister Nitin Gadkari was in town. I have those pictures as well. Not once, not twice, but twice. Nitin Gadkari's convoy was stopping the road completely. And I'm telling you this, if you stay anywhere in Bandra, you see how Nilesh Rane, Nitesh Rane, when they are on the road, it's like terror out there. Nobody can move. And this is what is happening all the time. Now tell me, Mr. Kirit Somaiya, अच्छे दिन किसके आए? ये अच्छे दिन जिसकी बात आप कर रहे थे, मुझे तो नहीं लगता कि ये जो लोग हैं वहां पे जो सफर कर रहे हैं वहां पे, उनके लिए तो अच्छे दिन नहीं आए. तो मुझे बताइए, आवाज आप मुझे जवाब दीजिए, ये कब तक चलता रहेगा? Where is the change that the BJP promised to bring? Mr. Somaiya, you can't hear me?
Arnab? No, I can hear, but just I want to make first a request to you. You give me some time. You decide 1 sentence, 3 sentences, 1 minute, 3 minutes. But allow that to speak. If you agree, I will start.
Okay, so I give you 2 minutes to speak. I give you 2 minutes to speak, but I also have a condition. You tell me why Nitin Gadkari stops traffic in Mumbai. You don't give me a general reply. My condition is I want to know whether you think it is absolutely and utterly shameless for a union minister of a sarkar which promised achhe din to cause such inconvenience to the people by blocking the roads like this. Don't tell me he didn't know about it.
No, first of all, you agree with me because I show you how
Let's stop this negotiation, Mr. Kirit Somaiya. You have the time. Please start.
No question, Mr. Arnab. You must also have a courtesy. If you are asking me something, give me time. 1 sentence, 3 sentence, 5
I'm
sentence,
sorry,
2
Mr.
minutes,
Kirit
whatever.
Somaya, I have
will
asked you
accept.
the same question 3 times. I have given you more than enough courtesy. And this is the complaint. I don't know why Netas always complain they are not treated with courtesy. I am treating you with absolute courtesy. I will not bow my hands or put my head down while I am asking the question to you. I am asking you, why does Nitin Gadkari's car stop the traffic like that in Mumbai? Because Chitra Subramaniam's brother passed away because of what happened in 1998. This is 2015. It's still happening. That's my question. Now you have time to answer, sir. Please answer.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me apologize for Amrita and Chitra. I do agree with you, Arnab. Such type of VVIP culture or abuse of power must be stopped. Just, I would also add, we will require some balance. If some important person with some important assignment, if there is a movement, we will have to try to balance it. But if it is abuse which is causing difficulties or some problem to others, we must review all such arrangements of traffic movement or convoy or VVIP parking, everything we must review. I agree with that. Okay?
Okay, so I will just reply in 10 seconds and then I will want answers from others. The simple thing is, Mr. Kirit Somaya, who are you to decide who is an important person on an important assignment? Are you of the view that everybody who is not a politician and a neta is not important and does not have an important job? The only important job is that of ministers? Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it, Mr. Somaya. And my next question...
And not just this.
My next... Should I move on? Okay, Raghav wants to make a point. Raghav, go ahead.
This.
Yeah.
Who decides who is important? Medical conditions or security situations are decided by nepotism and favoritism. I mean, if Baba Ramdev gets Z plus security, people who are affiliated with the BJP or the Sangh Parivar get Z plus security, and people like you and me walk on street, am I not important?
No,
is
not.
Amrita not important? Is Amrita's son not important?
Absolutely.
Is Chitra's brother not important? Why are you creating these inequalities in society, sir? You are a member of parliament. You are a lawmaker. Please, for God's sakes, all of us must give up this lust for imperial fantasies. Please, sir, please. And we don't need a Supreme Court to tame these politicians. The Supreme Court has passed many verdicts, but even after that, politicians are not tamed. These so-called self-proclaimed VVIPs, their hubris and arrogance is just destroying the equality, the inequality of this country.
I want to ask Amrita and Chitra whether they have anything to say to Kirit Somaya. 1 second, sir. 1 second, sir. Whether Amrita and Chitra wants to say something to you. 1 second. First Amrita and then Chitra. Amrita.
I understood your question that you asked from him. I didn't quite get the answer. I don't think there was an answer there. It doesn't answer anything. Nobody. We're going to review the situation. I don't know what that means, honestly. I said 2 years I've been writing to the authorities. The situation hasn't changed. I challenge anybody to go to T3 today, see the loose there, try and get a wheelchair today, right now, and then I'll believe the situation has changed. I do not believe the situation has changed or will change.
Absolutely.
Tell me who will change the situation.
Chitra,
who is responsible for it?
Chitra, this word important is so strange in our country because politicians have such an exaggerated sense of their self-importance. What would you say to Kirit Somaya? Were you satisfied with his reply?
Absolutely not. I mean, he's making a motherhood and apple pie type of statement saying, yes, all human beings. Who on earth does he think he is? I mean, we are a republic, okay? And the sense of entitlement is given. It's not something that they own. They are responsible to us, not the other way around. And Madam Amrita, I'm sorry about you. And, you know, it's not about you and me. It's about what everybody goes through. And let me just add that at one point I was a diplomat, okay? And people, my Indians, would let me do all kinds of things which were not allowed to other Indians. You know, what is absolutely disgusting, and I'm careful with my words, is this sense of entitlement. Hum or up, you know, like you are some kind of garbage. It's horrible. It's you know, I am married to a non-Indian, and the way people just absolutely, you know, throw themselves at my non-Indian family.
If I can come in and just elaborate on what Chitra says, you know, I think what she's saying that, you know, foreigners, really view us as some kind of freaks, honestly. Because the kind of entitlements and privileges which they see a small section of society get would be unimaginable in these democracies where, everybody stands in the queue, everybody's there in line, nobody thinks they're more important.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they're used to it. They're used to it. I want to go to Sudhir Telang, one of India's best known celebrated cartoonists, who usually manages to see humor in many situations. I don't know whether he'll see humor in this situation. But before I come to you, Sudhir Telang, I want to give a chance to Syed Asim Wakar of the Samajwadi Party. क्योंकि देश के लोगों को ये भी पता होना चाहिए कि सिचुएशन कितनी खराब हो गई है. VVIP कल्चर का एक उदाहरण देता हूं आपको वकर जी. आपके अंडर फरवरी 2014 में वो आजम खान के बफेलोज थे. आपको याद होगा बफेलो को हिंदी में क्या कहते हैं वो, बफेलोज, भैंस. वो आजम खान के भैंस जो थे वो मिसिंग हो गए, खो गए. आजम खान के जो भैंस थे वो गुम हो गए. और उसके लिए आजम खान जी ने सारा वहां पे पुलिस का पलटन भेज दिया. प्रशासन जो है, जितना प्रशासन था वो भैंसों को ढूंढ रहा था. और इतना ही नहीं, 7 भैंस थे वहां पे उनके पास. और वो तो VVIP क्या, वो ट्रिपल VIP होंगे वहां पे आपके लिए, मेरे लिए नहीं. 7 भैंस गुम हो गए और 7 भैंसों के पीछे सारी पुलिस की पलटन चली गई. और उसके बाद ये सच्चाई है, ये कोई मैं मूवी का स्क्रिप्ट नहीं लिख रहा. 2 दिन बाद 3 पुलिस कर्मचारियों को सस्पेंड कर दिया क्या कि आपको समय में आप भैंस क्यों नहीं आपको मिले. और फिर उन्होंने पूछा कि हमें क्यों सस्पेंड किया. तो उन्होंने बोला कि आपको पता नहीं है कि आजम खान के जो भैंस है उनका क्या वैल्यू होता है, उनका क्या दर्जा होता है हमारे सोसाइटी में. तो आपसे मेरा सीधा सवाल है कि आजम खान के भैंस जो है उनका ज्यादा लगता है आजकल स्टेटस है सोसाइटी में आम आदमी से ज्यादा. आप इस बात को मानेंगे वाकर जी, है ना?
जनाब अर्नब गोस्वामी जी,
आपने तो ऐसा सिचुएशन कर दिया कि अगर भैंस वहां पे बोल सकते तो भैंस आके बोलते कि आपको पता नहीं मैं कौन हूं, मैं तो आजम खान का भैंस हूं. जो सबसे बड़ा डायलॉग है, जो सबसे फेवरेट पॉलिटिशियन का डायलॉग है, किसी भी को पकड़ लीजिए, पॉलिटिशियन नेता को पकड़ लीजिए, नेता के चमचे को पकड़ लीजिए, नेता के भतीजे को पकड़ लीजिए, वो सब कहेंगे एक ही लाइन कि आपको पता नहीं मैं कौन हूं. तो अगर वहां पे आजम खान के भैंसों को पकड़ा जाता, वो कहते हैं हम तो आजम खान के भैंस हैं. तो आप नहीं, सच आप मुझे बताइए, आपने क्या ये दुर्दशा करके रखी है इस देश की, वकर जी?
जी अर्नव जी, जितना लंबा सवाल आपने पूछा है, मैं गुजारिश करता हूं कि थोड़ा सा 1 मिनट बढ़ा के मुझे जवाब देने का मौका दीजिएगा.
जी 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 जी.
देखिए, सबसे पहले तो मैं चित्रा जी और नम्रता जी जो हैं, अमृता जी, उनके साथ जो भी हादसा हुआ, मैं उस पर जी अमृता जी, मुझे बहुत दुख है. और सच्चाई ये है कि जो अमृता जी के साथ हुआ वो VVIP को आप दोष मत दें. वो जो वहाँ पर वर्कर था, उसके एहसास इतने मरे हुए थे या वो मानसिक स्तर पर इतना गिरा हुआ आदमी था कि उसने इस तरह की घटना को अंजाम दिया है. इससे एक सीख और मिली है कि अब जो इस तरह के पब्लिक प्लेसेस हैं, वहाँ के ऊपर अगर कुछ इस तरह की व्यवस्थाएं की जा रही हैं तो उसमें कुछ व्यवस्थाएं ऐसी हों जो सिर्फ और सिर्फ हैंडीकैप्ड लोगों के लिए हो, उसको VVIP या VIP यूज ना करे. मैं ये गुजारिश करता हूँ भारत सरकार से. सोमैया जी बैठे हुए हैं. दूसरी अच्छी बात इन्होंने यहाँ पर उजागर की है कि जो हैंडीकैप्ड हैं वो क्या करेंगे अगर VVIPs आ जाएं. दूसरी बात, जो VVIP या VIP आ रहे थे उन्होंने करने को नहीं कहा होगा. तीसरी बात, मैं आपको अपने माननीय नेताजी का
अमृता जी कुछ कहना चाहती है आपको, ये बात तो मानना मुश्किल है. VVIP के तो हमने तो नहीं बोला था हमें ऐसे ट्रीट कीजिए. एक मिनट अमृता,
दिस agitates me no end. हादसा, it's not a हादसा.
नहीं, एक मिनट, ये हादसा क्या?
There is no हादसा happening. My son has an issue which he's going to probably live with for the rest of his life. He needs a little help in terms of some assistance. What's the big deal with that? As a country, as human beings, those services are available. They are just not meted out to the right people.
बिल्कुल
जबान बंद करके सुनी है. Firstly,
तो मुझे कुछ तो कहने का हक है यहाँ पर.
नहीं, मगर अभी हादसा क्या कह रहे हैं इसमें?
देखिए, मैं अपने नेताजी का किस्सा सुना दूं आपको. माननीय नेताजी कानपुर से लखनऊ आ रहे थे. रास्ते में एक एक्सीडेंट हुआ था. आम आदमी देख रहा था और रुक नहीं रहा था.
गाड़ियां बराबर से निकलती चली जा रही
आप इधर अपने नहीं मैं इधर आपके नेताजी के बारे में सुनने नहीं आया हूँ। मैं ये बात कर रहा हूँ आप तो इतना आपसे पूछ रहे कुछ अमृता।
I want to ask him something. Stopping for an accident. अगर कहीं एक्सीडेंट हुआ है और कोई रुकता है।
First let us see if he listen. वकर जी आप सुनेंगे, अमृता जी कुछ कह रही हैं आपसे।
सिर्फ एक बहुत सिंपल सवाल है, एक बहुत ह्यूमन लेवल पे सवाल है। एक्सीडेंट होता है, किसी को चोट लगी है, आप रुके हैं, इसमें बड़ी बात क्या हो गई? दिस इज हाइजीन लेवल इंसानियत। एग्जैक्टली, ये हाइजीन है, ये हाइजीन, दीज आर हाइजीन लेवल्स, दीज आर नॉट एलिवेटेड लेवल्स। यू आर सपोज्ड टू स्टॉप, यू आर सपोज्ड टू हेल्प। We are human beings at the end of the day. What are we talking about here?
45 मिनट सुनाया है तो
he's making it a big issue that the VIP stop.
आप ये कह रहे हैं वकर जी कि आज आप अपने नेताजी के बारे में कह रहे हैं कि एक्सीडेंट हुआ, नेताजी गाड़ी से उतर के उन्होंने हेल्प किया, ये क्या बड़ी बात है?
बात तो सुनिए,
ये क्या बड़ी बात है?
आपको किस्सा सुनाया है वीवीआईपी तो
नहीं ये कोई इट इज नो रेलेवेंस टू व्हाट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट। अजय बोस
नहीं, देखिए उसका फर्ज बनता है,
कोई बड़ी बात नहीं,
कोई भी नेताजी या ना नेताजी उसका तो फर्ज बनता है कि रोकने और किसी को मदद
अगर आप चाहते हैं देश का भला हो तो थोड़ा सा मैं चाहता हूं कि आप हमारी बात भी सुन लें।
Is he trying to elevate the Neta because he stopped versus the Aam Aadmi who was standing there and not stopping? I don't know what
another level of inequality.
I think I'd like to get Sudhir Telang in on this. I have only one question to ask because I'm listening to this whole debate. I want to know what kind of special air do our VIPs want to breathe that despite them having empty seats next to them on their carts, in their planes, they refuse to give the right to the Aam Aadmi mother who has to carry her specially abled son in her arms. And tonight there's no real apology for what Amrita has experienced. There's one, we are very sorry for what happened to you, but we are not to blame. And I'd like to get Sudhir Telang on the debate right now. Sudhir Telang. Sudhir ji, what would you like to say? You've been hearing different stories so far on the program.
Yes, Arnab, I've heard all the stories, particularly Chitra's story and Amrita's stories, and they are really, really very sad. And this is happening. These are just two stories, Arnab, just two stories. There are thousands and thousands of stories in this country where people are victims of the VIP culture. I'd like to show one cartoon which I had done a couple of years back in my newspaper Asian Age and Deccan Chronicle about the VIP culture when these VIPs demanded special treatment in airports and metro stations. If you can show this cartoon, can you see this cartoon, Arnab, on your screen?
Yeah, just raise it a bit more. Yeah,
we can see. The cartoon is that this particular MP, a member of parliament, has a helmet shaped like a red light beacon, and his wife is saying that Congress, this Gandhi cap is passé now. My husband now wears a helmet with a red light. And if you believe in Darwin's theory of evolution, then I think by now our MPs and MLAs would have grown naturally a red light on their heads. Arnab, I'd like to just make a couple of points today on this program. First of all, you are doing a very good job. I think not just one channel, but 1,000 channels need to run a campaign against this VIP culture. The problem in India is that this VIP culture is in our DNA. It's ingrained in our chromosomes, Arnab. The problem is that in Chandigarh, they auction VIP car numbers, and people are ready to pay for a car number, just a number plate, 10 to 20 lakh rupees to get 0001 number of a car. Now, this is the kind of a country we live in. And the problem is that when you are in opposition, you have separate rule of, and when you come into power, then you have different, this is the problem, is the hypocrisy of the politician. When you are in opposition, probably you are envious of the privileges that the ruling party has. But the moment, then when you are in opposition, you keep talking about it on television channels from rooftops that this VIP culture has to end. But the moment you come into power, now you hear that the BJP government, which has come now in power, for a long time they had been talking about VIP culture and demolishing the VIP culture. And the moment they come into power, they start emulating the same thing. This is the problem, Arnab. And the thing is that it's a feudal country, and for thousands of years, hundreds of years, we have lived under Rajas and Maharajas. And you remember, at one time when there was Maharajas in India, they used to, and they would come on the elephants and the Sawari would come of Maharaja's Sawari, and an advance party would come to announce that the Maharaja is coming, that Ba Mashakkat, Ba Mulaija, Hoshiar, the Maharaja XYZ is coming. And now we have 545 new Maharajas in Parliament. And hundreds of them
Sudhirji, those Maharajas would come, announce their entry and go on the same road. You know, Rahul Narvekar, today's Maharajas. Today's Maharajas have different roads.
Yes,
absolutely. They have different roads. I want to give you one example from Ambala, for example. Ambala, the route from Delhi to Chandigarh via Ambala is toll-free with a separate lane for our so-called VVIPs. This is unbelievable. I'm telling you today, nowhere else on planet Earth does this happen. In the Jaipur-Ajmer highway, a list of VIPs are exempt from paying toll. There is a lane meant for emergency vehicles. So, no, I'm just saying here today there are many such examples. I'm making an appeal to the viewers. If you know such examples, contact us immediately. Yes, Sudhirji. Yes, Sudhirji.
Absolutely. Yeah, what I'm saying is that, Arnab, these VVIPs, you know, Commonwealth, during the Commonwealth Games, they had created new lane for the Commonwealth Games players for using exclusively for the Commonwealth Games. One lane was dedicated completely to them. And you have a BRT corridor also in this city. So I think VIPs, they should shamelessly create a BRT corridor for themselves. Why not a VIP corridor? Create a VIP corridor for them, then
they can live in a separate VIP city.
Always.
They can create a VIP city of their own. No, Rahul, the separate suggestion. You can create a separate city, a special zone only for VIPs. You can have different kinds of air out there also, so you don't breathe the same air. You know, you're not condemned to breathe the same air. You can have different planes, different traffic, different roads, different air. You can have a different water supply also, Rahul, so that you don't have to share the same water supply with the other citizens. That's the way many people feel. Yes, Mr. Narvekar. Yes, Mr. Narvekar, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, Arnab, I guess this is something which you would fancy. Certainly, most of us who are in public life don't want to do that. But probably these are your fancies which you are mentioning on your show today.
Come to the point.
Number two, let me, exactly, I mean, you don't have the prerogative of making irrelevant comments yourself, right? So now coming to
Mr.
the next point,
don't display your irritation so obviously. Don't display your irritation so openly.
Okay, Mr. Arnab Goswami, I won't waste the time of your viewers. Let's come to the point. Insofar as
thank you for realizing that,
or probably you're most welcome. The apex court of this country, the Honorable Supreme Court, had passed a judgment some time back with regards to use of beacons on VIP cars or on official cars. There was a strict regulation laid down whereby there was a restriction on use of these beacons. Before I don't want to politicize this issue. I really don't want to politicize this issue, but I must state this, that before Mr. Modi came to power, he did speak about eradicating this VVIP culture, giving good days to the common man.
Yes.
There are over 9 states in this country which are ruled by the Bharatiya Janata Party. How many of these states have implemented these guidelines laid down by the Honorable Supreme Court?
You have politicized it. Let Kirit Somaya answer.
Action speaks,
point taken. Kirit Somaya answer.
Action speaks louder than words.
Kirit Somaya answer.
And therefore, I think I don't want
Kirit
to
Somaya answer. Raghav Chadda wants to come in. 1 second. Kirit Somaya answer.
To the Bharatiya Janata Party governments to ensure that these rules which have been laid down by the Honorable Supreme Court are followed to the T. And this will be a starting point in eradication of the
Mr.
VIP
Somaya,
culture.
you always want time. I'm giving you time. Answer.
Now, initially only I told you very specifically that while saying sorry, apologizing, I told you very specifically that I also don't acknowledge, appreciate and support abuse of power or such type of VVIP culture.
No, that's not.
When I added one more sentence, no, it may not be enough, but listen at least. You must have that patience.
I'm not
that while I added you,
I'm not losing patience. You are, Mr. Somaya. You are losing patience because you're being asked questions. Okay? You are losing patience.
Please
not me.
listen now. If for any security purpose, don't use that arrogant
tone with me, Mr. Somaya. Don't you use that arrogant tone with me. You are not using it with me. You are using it with millions of viewers who are watching your arrogance tonight. And I'm telling you, Mr. Somaya, I have no time for this kind of arrogance. I've asked you a question, answer the question. If you're feeling irritated and pent up, take out your frustration somewhere else. I'm asking you a question. You didn't answer my question on Gadkari. Have you even answered my question on Gadkari till now? Not once. I gave you a lot of time.
I am responding.
Why? You are scared of answering a question on Gadkari?
I am responding to your question, Mr. Arnab, that I categorically say that any abuse of power by anybody, including politicians,
did Gadkari abuse power today?
Should be stopped.
Did Gadkari abuse power today?
I say
generic questions, generic statements don't matter. Only specific. I want to be specific.
When I told you, for any specific purpose, if some important person for security or some other reason, if we need some such type of traffic clearance,
I know I'm going to get Raghav.
We must have balance.
No, Mr. Somaya, Raghav is responding to you. Raghav is responding, then I'm taking a caller.
Mr.
Raghav,
Somaya,
please, go ahead.
Your party and Mr. Modi came with a thumping mandate, particularly a mandate that was against VVIP culture, and you guys promised achhe din. Forget banning, such entitlements, privileges and symbols of authority. It's your parliamentary committee headed by your member of parliament, Mr. Meghwal, which is recommending even more obnoxious privileges. I mean, they have recommended stuff like, there needs to be escorts and, baggage carriers at the airport to carry the, the hand baggage of every member of parliament from the entrance up to the aircraft and whatnot. This is shocking. So please, sir, introspect. This is not the mandate. This is not the mandate that you got. That's one. Number two, as far as the guidance laid and the guidelines laid down by the Supreme Court of India are concerned, I am reiterating my previous point. We have reached a point where we need the Supreme Court, the judiciary to intervene and teach basic humanity 101 to our politicians and these self-proclaimed VVIPs. I mean, I fear for the times that we are living in. And the last thing that I want to add is, this is reminiscent of the British Raj. The only difference is कि गोरे चले गए और काले हमारे ऊपर राज कर रहे हैं. That's the only difference. But we are still witnessing the same sort of degraded, unequal, inferior life, and you guys have, this feeling of royalty. And you have this lust for imperial fantasies that you just want to fulfill.
Say, I am traveling daily. Listen me now. I am traveling daily, either by metro or local or by car or plane. Hardly, might be 1,000 times, might be once or twice.
Not your once or twice.
Such type of treatment I might have taken for somebody. So I don't think somebody, there may be bad politician, I do agree.
This is rampant. Yes, you might be indulging or you might not be indulging in this. But your party is propagating this. You have a, and you have a Lok Sabha committee which is recommending even more obnoxious privileges. Why don't you guys introspect and see the mandate that you got?
Gadkari for doing this. I don't understand. You're a bold person. You're a bold person.
I certainly
unless people like you speak up. I know for a fact that you are somebody who is not believes in VVIP culture. I know that. Why can't you be bold? Why can't you raise it in your party?
And stop distributing Z plus security
and the Congress. Nothing will be done.
Okay.
And sir, Mr. Somaya, you are sounding exactly like the Congress. The Congress of 2012 and 2013 used to sound exactly like you when they were questioned about Mr. Vadra's
absolutely
ridiculous entitlements. You are sounding exactly like the spokespersons of the Congress. Nothing has changed in this country.
Now, Amit Chakrapani from Faridabad is a professor. He's calling tonight. Dr. Chakrapani, sorry to keep you waiting. What would you like to say to our panelists and to all our viewers?
No issues, Arnab. First of all, I just like to congratulate you for taking this initiative. And at the same time, I'm very apologetic to Chitra and Amrita that they are facing, and Chitra has already faced. There are two incidents, firstly, I would like to share with you. The first, that in 2008, Mr. P. Chidambaram, the finance minister of the country, he was in Netherlands, and he just jumped the security queue on the airport. The officer there, he just pushed him back and told him that it is not India. Now just underline that it is not India. He just went back to the queue again, and he was just standing with all the citizens there just in the queue. Now just see.
Where was this?
It's what Amsterdam airport.
Amsterdam airport, right. If it's true, it's good.
Just see what is there in his mind. The officer, a simple police officer, he told him that it is not India. Now this is the reputation of the country.
Exactly. Well, I think speaks a lot. Speaks a lot. So, you know, this is a classic example, you know, Mr. Chakrapani, these people are giving us a bad name. I think Sudhir Telang wants to come into the debate, but to all the, you know, we see different responses. Rahul Narvekar, Kirit Somai, you're all taking it personally, but I want to say this to you, that basically the Indian politician has become too arrogant. The average Indian politician has become too cocky. The average Indian politician believes that they need to be treated differently, that there is a VIP class. And don't ask who created the word VIP. The word VIP and VVIP was created by politicians for politicians. We are snatching that right back. We are going to keep this as a campaign on the channel, and tonight I promise, Chitra, thank you for your support. We need everyone's support on this. Amrita and Chitra, you've joined our debate today, shared your stories and the trauma that you've been through. I thank you for sharing that with us. But I'm appealing on everyone's behalf, Chitra, and I want you also to play a role in this, that we need to keep the step up the pressure. We need all media groups to come and join the Times Now movement so that this does not become, you know, just a channel-specific movement. Eventually, this becomes a national movement. And this is how we can do it. Chitra, do you think it's possible? Do you think we can make this the starting point, an inflection point for a mindset change in our country? Do you think we can do that? That's our hashtag. That's the email ID. Chitra, what do you think? Do you think we, you know, you're watching this from Geneva. What do you think? Are you hopeful?
Absolutely, because there is no, the other side doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned, and the media is a determinant of any country's health. And towards that extent, the News Minute will back you, and we will work with you to ensure that, you know, the sense of entitlement is taken away from people who don't deserve it.
Thank you very much. And Amrita, you know, tell your son we're all proud of him, and we're very proud of you for having shared that story. People like you need to come forward and speak up. Thank you very much. This is just the starting point of this movement. It's going to go along for even over a year if required, till we feel we have made the change. It's a name and shame movement. It is your movement. I want you to participate in it. Let us follow it through. Yes, Sudhir Telang, let us follow it through till there's actual change. This is not a one-day impact. Yeah. Yes, Sudhir Telang.
And I'll just give you an example. I was in Switzerland a few years ago, and a government official was with me, taking me to the Parliament House there. And on the road, suddenly he introduced me to one very ordinary-looking person in ordinary trousers and suit. And that fellow, I spoke to him for a few minutes, and then he said that he is a cabinet minister here in the in Swiss government. And I was really surprised that he was walking like an ordinary man in the street. Arnab, what you've done is an absolutely fantastic thing. India, we took 100 years to fight the Englishmen, the Britishers, to kick them out of this country. And we already spent 65, 67 years. We have created a new set of Maharajas and rulers in this country. We'll take another 100 years to remove them.
Absolutely.
But we have to keep hitting at them, keep shaming them, keep naming them, and you're doing the absolutely right thing, and I think everybody else should do it, so that they are.
And I also want to say one thing at the end. When I say VVIP culture, VIP culture, sometimes politicians set the wrong precedent. Then we see a film star behaving like that. Yeah. Sometimes you may see a journalist behaving like that. You may see a well-known sports person behaving like that. And I'm saying this is not a movement that is aimed at naming and shaming only the political class. A political class plus everybody else who has that culture of entitlement. So I thank you for your participation. I thank you for joining me on this debate number 1 on the News Hour tonight.